For the record, we're waiting for Alderman Cooper again. Ooh. Actually, why don't we go ahead and start? I'd like to call this meeting to order. Would you please follow along with the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, can we get a roll call, please?
Benton. Denham.
Here.
Cooper.
Here.
Milton.
Here.
Rodriguez.
Here.
Howden.
Here.
LeBlanc.
Here.
Your Honor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. We're going to start with, I'm going to ask Administrator Stepp if she would provide an introduction of the city's two newest directors, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good afternoon, everybody. Here's my page. First gentleman I would like to introduce you all to is Mark Calusi. Mark is our new Planning and Zoning, Planning and Development Director. His very first day was yesterday, so we thought we'd throw him right into the deep end of the pool and introduce him to you all tonight. Mark, where are you? There he is. That's our Mark. And we had a lot of good qualified candidates for this position, but Mark stood out because of his experience, his dynamic leadership skills, and his creativity. He hails from Pennsylvania, from Mifflin County, where he served as the planning director for that county for 3 years, and for Huntington County for nearly 8 years. He's got a bachelor's degree in geography with a concentration in urban and regional development from Pennsylvania State University. And Mark, welcome to the deep end of the pool.
There's a stranger amongst us.
Yes.
Welcome, Mark.
Thank you. And our second introduction this afternoon is Haley Hutchins. Haley, if you could stand. Haley is our new HR director. And Haley has got over 20 years of experience leading corporate human resources functions. She served in multiple highly recognized organizations here in the Ozarks, most recently as in a key human resources role at Snyder Construction Group in Ozark, and also for O'Reilly Hospitality Management in Springfield. She has a Bachelor's of Science in Management and Human Resources from Missouri State. And she's got a positive can-do attitude along with empathy when dealing with sensitive workplace matters. Exactly what we need at this moment in time here at the City of Branson. Please again welcome Haley Hutchins.
Welcome, Haley.
Good swimmer. Thank you, Mayor.
You bet. So the first item on the agenda is a presentation on the City Enterprise Resource Planning, ERP, software system, presented by Chad.
Thank you, Mayor and the board. Pleasure to be with you all this evening. This has been a very long time coming, and so it's exciting for staff to get to share this with you tonight and our vision for how we intend to transform our operations in the coming months and years and really modernize our everything we do from the ground up. And so before I get to that, though, I just wanted to take a moment. Sometimes in IT, we have a tendency to be the people that are, behind the scenes, and you don't get to see them a whole lot. So I wanted to take a moment to just shout out my staff that's here with us this evening. We've got Matt Gregory, Brandon Reed, Chance Moore, Curtis Copeland, and Brendan Rappenchuk here with us tonight. They do absolutely amazing work, and I couldn't be more proud to lead them and represent the department along their side. They really make me look good, and I'm proud of them. I just wanted to recognize them, so thank you. They'll be cutting out here pretty soon probably too, because they got families and stuff. So more to the point, the way this is going to transpire this evening is we've got a contract on the agenda later that we're going to ask you for some support for a new ERP system that, again, will transform how we operate as a city. And we'll get into the procurement process when we bring that contract to you. But right now, I just wanted to let you know that Tyler Technologies is who we are asking for a contract to be executed with. We went through a very lengthy process to select that vendor. It was a very collaborative process. Again, I'll go into that a little bit later in the presentation. But really what we want to do right now is just take a moment to demonstrate to you some highlights of the system, get the creative juices flowing in terms of what it can do for us. Again, this could be we could take days on this. We're going to try to do it in about 15 minutes. Right, Kathy?
Right on.
So with that, I'll introduce to you all Adam Sharp, Gary, I'm going to get this wrong. Gary, how do you pronounce your name?
Doobie, Gary Doobie.
It is
That's correct.
Doobie. Okay, see, I didn't want to be the one that said that. Anyway, moving on. And John White with us. And so, yeah, I'll throw it over to Adam to give a overview of Tyler and a little background on them, just a brief background. And then I think John's going to jump into the demonstration. And with that, if you have any questions, I'll be near. So I'll hand it over to you, Adam.
Yeah, thanks, Chad. And good afternoon to each of you, Mayor Milton, the board, and other interested city stakeholders. It's a pleasure to be with you this afternoon. As Chad mentioned, we could in fact be here for days, and in fact we have spent days with your departmental leadership and really right down into your end user community to explore Tyler's offering as an enterprise resource planning system. And for those of you that may want to acquaint yourselves a little bit more or get a little bit more familiar with an ERP system, historically they were referred to as back office accounting or financial management systems. Well, it's been a long time coming, but these systems now are really the backbone for digital transformation for communities such as yours, communities that are frankly regional, if not state leaders, when it comes to tourism and business and so forth. And so what we want to try and do is give you a little bit of an overview, how we can empower your community in a multifaceted way. The screen that you have in front of you or the slide that you have in front of you is really intentional. And that's to demonstrate for each of you, the leaders of your community, to have a broad awareness of the footprint and the breadth of the solutions, the software solutions that Tyler offers to local government. And I'll pause there because it's important to reinforce that our business focuses exclusively on governmental customers. We're not interested in the finance sector and Wall Street. We're not interested in manufacturing and distribution. We're not actually interested in retail either. We're interested in making local government more productive and more efficient. And so you can see here the breadth of our application suite that really spans the full spectrum of how local government may interact with their community and the services that they provide. So John, if you could move to the next slide, we can start to talk a little bit about the benefits of those connected, that connective tissue that prior slide represents. Digital transformation is really a fancy catchphrase in our industry for allowing city stakeholders to make more informed decisions with information at their fingertips. I alluded to it earlier that historically these systems were back office accounting systems that were really sort of stagnant systems. What we're proposing to your community and your stakeholders is to provide each of you with real-time information that can inform strategic decisions that you can have confidence in when you push that stuff out to your constituents and your residents. Really what we're talking about too is making government more accessible and transparent. What we like to say here at Tyler is that the federal government isn't riding in to save any local government, right? Local government is where trust is established with citizens and local businesses. And in order to do that, we need to make sure that cities like Branson are publishing information to their constituents and their residents and making a commitment to transparency with those constituents. And what we find when we do that is that citizens are more engaged. They have a certain level of pride with their communities and their elected stakeholders and officials. And frankly, they feel more supported as citizens. And lastly, we want to make sure that doing business with the city is not only easier, but it's more efficient and more productive. So how do we, or I should say, who is the vendor behind all of these initiatives? Well, Tyler, a couple of bullets here for your review. Certainly can field any questions, but a couple of things to take away as you peruse this slide. We're a financially secure, progressive, innovative technology company that's publicly traded on the New York Stock Exchange. So there's no secrets. The same way in which you need to operate with transparency with your citizens and your constituents, we must do so as well with the financial marketplace. But really what this slide demonstrates is a breadth of domain expertise, so public sector, software expertise, and really an opportunity to partner with a vendor who this is all, we have 2,000 employees who get up every day on this particular application to support our customers and make sure that you and your citizens have the best experience as you move forward into that modern digital age. And then I think there might be, John, one last slide. Is that right? Or are we going? No. Okay. So we're gonna hop into a couple of different demonstration scenarios that you folks can, instead of hearing these claims on a PowerPoint, we want to make sure that you can see the application and have a sense, a flavor for how deep these applications are and some of the information that's surfaced. So I'll pause to see, is there any question right now from any of the community there in City Hall?
Nope.
Okay, hearing none. So John, why don't I hand it over to you? You're still on mute, John.
Thank you, Adam. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to take you through the application from 3 different perspectives. I'm going to begin first as your Public Works Director, Michael. So what you see before you, this is called Tyler Hub. This is the main user interface to the application. It is 100% cloud-based. And what this is designed to do is to deliver to all of your managers the information they need to perform their job on a day in and day out basis and break down all of the data silos that may exist across the city. So what Michael would see first off, and this would all be tailored to him. He doesn't have to live with what he sees here. Right along the top, all of the various divisions that he supports and where they stand financially at this moment in time. So this is broad summarization, but I can see whether I'm in the red or whether I'm about to tip in the red on any of my given divisions. Rather than having to babysit all of the various accounts that exist within each of these divisions, you can let the software monitor it, and I'll bring your attention to this tile over to the right called Accounts in Trouble. So this will surface any account that has tipped into the red or is close to tipping into the red. And we'll see here that my technology account is in trouble. We can click on the account number and actually drill right into the details here. So I can see that I'm in a deficit situation, and you can stop the deficit spending if you choose to. And I can also see all of the various transactions that have hit that account across the fiscal year. Now, we have woven document management into the fabric of the application. So I can take any given transaction like this purchase order that has hit the account. And whenever you see a paper clip, that is our universal symbol for document management. So if I need to see the piece of paper that actually went out to the vendor, it's all right here for me. So as a result, your end users will never have to leave their seat to run back to paper filing cabinets. Everything will be accessible with the click of the mouse. We also bind all of the related documents together for you. So we're in the bottom left panel here. I can see what was stapled to that PO when it went out the door. I can see the freight bill or the bill of lading when the goods are received, the invoice that Dell presented to me for payment, and then ultimately the check the city cut to pay the bill. So everything is right there for me, all wrapped up with a neat red bow. So I'm just going to venture back to Michael's homepage or his hub page. And right above the accounts in trouble, another one of our favorites is the overtime burn rate within the account. So I can monitor here how much overtime has been going out the door in the last 30 days or whatever time horizon I choose. I can click into this tile. I can see all of the overtime events or all the various employees and subordinates that have charged overtime over the recent area. And I also get the why as to why is this overtime being spent. I'll call your attention to the open positions. Oops. This reveals all of the accounts that are presently, or all the positions that are presently unfilled. So it looks like I am having trouble filling labor positions. I can see 5 applications have come in and how many days open this has been. And then ultimately, when I do get to the bottom of my home page, the service orders aspect of public works as to what the top citizen requests coming in the door are, as well as what my close rate is, how long it's taking me to close the service orders. So in my case, mine are way out here, as you can see, 1,500 days or 5 years. Landscaping, which is hypothetical, but probably something you would want to address. Now let's switch focus and we'll go to Kathy's perspective. And there's a ton of information that's bubbling in this ERP system. So what we do for her and any of your executive staff is we serve up all of that information in a series of these easily digestible tiles. So this runs the gamut between financial information, accounts payable, revenues, property taxes, sales taxes, overtime, headcount, application, permitting, all the various aspects of the operation. Each one of these can be ribbonized using standard traffic signal symbology where green is good, yellow is cautionary, red is bad. Your eyes can be drawn to the ones that need managerial attention. And Kathy can also subscribe to any of these tiles. So for example, if she wanted to monitor this invoice pay date, if whenever it crosses the threshold of 35 days, the system would automatically email her whenever one of those thresholds was breached. So once again, she would not have to look at this on a day in and day out basis. She can set it up so the system is feeding her this information as these thresholds are crossed. Each one of these tiles is actionable. So if we look at the cash balance, this is essentially an online income statement. It will show us revenues versus expenditures over the course of a month. The blue bars represent your net income per period. And we also have forecasting woven into this. So if I do need to figure that of your citizenry, and so from the webpage, your citizens will have access to transparency on several different dimensions. So I'm going to go first into open finance. This will allow them to look at your revenues, your expenditures, your vendor payments, as well as your payroll, and you can configure which of this information you choose to share with them. As a citizen, I can come in and explore the underlying details. So we in here, let's switch our fiscal year to 23. And this uses thermometer display. So the outside purple is basically the budget and the blue mercury represents what your spend is. And let's go hone in into public safety and get down into the police department so we can see exactly what their budgetary information looks like at present. Now, to combat some of those frequent and routine FOIA requests, right at the bottom of the screen is a view and download button. So this will allow the citizens to come in here and they can dump any of this info out to an Excel spreadsheet. So if they want to slice, dice, graph, chart, do whatever they want with the raw information, they'll be able to do that. Also for the citizens will be the capital projects. So this will show them all the capital projects that are going on within the community. We can go hone in on any aldermanic district. So I'm just going to go grab District 5. It'll show me all the capital projects that are ongoing, which ones are on track from a cost perspective and which ones are on track from a schedule perspective. So if we grab this first one here, this bridge reconstruction, you can see all the details about that your engineers are filling in, what the budget is and what has been spent thus far this year. Okay, now what we've been looking at is using the computer screen to access this. We also have mobility built into the application as well. So I am going to share my iPhone with you. And this is called My Civic. This is an app that your residents will be able to download from either the iPhone store or the Android store. This places City Hall within their pocket or within their purse. So they'll have full access to all of the domain knowledge within City Hall. So most notably, we can report an issue. So these can be code events. They can also be public works types events. So we'll go report a traffic sign that's out. I can indicate who I am or remain anonymous. We can indicate what type of sign. So we'll say a stop sign is down. It will use your GIS system to physically locate where you are within the city. And then ultimately, I'll just confirm my location there. I can take a picture of exactly what I saw. And this would find its way back to Michael so that he could dispatch it to one of his employees to deal with the down stop sign. Going back to the menu, on the news, you can broadcast messages out to everyone that has this application. So for example, July 4th and the fireworks, rather than having the citizens calling 911, you can broadcast out what time the fireworks are going off. All of your social media feeds can be consolidated and presented here. And all of the content that your public access station produces can be put here. So whenever I have those brief minutes of time, I can go look at any of the videos that they've produced. Obviously, the meeting calendar is present here, along with the ability to see all of my elected officials, and I can select on any headshot, see the biography of the official, and I can call or email directly from this app. If we drop down into the community development, this will allow me to request a building permit. So when I am adding a deck or replacing my roof or my windows, I can come in here and go to apply. In this case, there's a decision engine that's built directly into this application that basically is a shepherd and will guide your citizenry right through the application. So we'll go in here and let's say I need a building permit, a residential permit, and my plan is to put up a new single family home. I'm not pulling it as a contractor. And then this will walk me through the entire application process. So I'll stop there. I've hit my time limit for showing the applications. I'll open up to the audience if there's any questions as to what you've seen thus far this evening.
Thank you very much, John. We appreciate that.
You're welcome.
We tried to keep this brief, concise. Again, this is scratching the surface. We could go into many, many, many other things, but frankly, we didn't want to bore you. And secondly, we just didn't have time for that. So I hope the goal was to give you a peek of, wrapping your head around how this can transform how we're going to operate in the future.
Chad, my first comment is I'm just blown away with this taking our city to where we need to be. It's extremely comprehensive, which tells me that the amount of time and effort it's going to take to enter all this data in is going to be a challenge. And what would you share with us what you see as the time frame? Is this going to come online like in modules? Is it going to be in some timing, if you would?
Yeah, so currently we've got again, this will be in the presentation I do on the agenda item, but 3 years is the goal. So it's a longer term project. And so, we've got to massage through that project scope a little bit in terms of, timeline, in terms of what modules we bring on first. But secondly, you're right, this is going to be a tremendous effort from all the departments, particularly the finance staff, but not only finance, but that would probably be the first one, I would imagine. monumentous effort to implement this. But, you know, some of the things we'll do is we will convert the data from our old system into the new one and then have a go-live timeframe. So we're not manually entering in years' worth of data to achieve that. So there's some things we can do to expedite that, but make no mistake, it's a major, major initiative that's very complex, and we're taking that very seriously, and we're prepared for that task.
Yeah, thank you. And I don't want to get through, because there's going to be hundreds and hundreds of questions on this. I appreciate that brief overview. Any aldermen have any questions for Chad?
That was my main question, was entering all this and the time and how that would happen, so you're answering
I
that.
felt good with it.
Yeah.
Looking at a 3-year time frame, that seems very reasonable, right? If we're trying to
And I appreciate
cram all
that.
this information in
Yeah.
6 or 12 months, that would have been just daunting, probably a lot of errors.
Yeah, it would probably, that'd be a recipe for disaster. And so
Sure,
I
yeah.
appreciate the support and the patience to do this and frankly, make sure we do it right. We want to, you know, not be slow, obviously, but we want to take our time, be purposeful with our time, and make sure it's done correctly the first time.
I guess my other question, once it's all in and this thing's rolling, who's there continuing to update and update? Is that a physical person or a department or?
Yeah, so we'll work in conjunction probably with the finance department to make sure that, you know, traditionally the ERP system is kind of joint IT finance, although all the departments use it, to be very clear. For example, planning and development will have modules as well that they utilize. You know, public works, engineering, park, I mean, all of them for asset management and things like that. But the ultimate point of contact will remain IT in terms of the contract itself. And we'll make sure that things are managed with that agreement.
Yeah.
Yes.
That makes sense. That's unbelievable. I mean, impressive.
Fantastic. Thank you for this presentation. It's going to be really nice to be able to have all that information at your fingertips where so many questions get asked and people take off on different roads and say, this is happening, that's happening. To have the facts right at hand is fantastic. Thanks for all the work you and your team are doing.
Yeah, and I want to be clear, and again, I don't want to steal my own thunder when we get to the presentation, so to speak, but I can't emphasize enough at how much this was not, IT didn't go out and pick this system, right? We had a committee that met regularly, that worked tirelessly. Some of them are in the audience today. Specifically Stephanie, I just want to point her out. She helped me a ton from utilities to go through this process to make sure it's not, you know, at the end of the day, IT will use the system, but we're not a primary user of the system. And who better can vet what system meets their needs than the people that use it? And I'm proud to say we've definitely used that approach, and it's been very successful, we think.
And this has been introduced to all the directors, and they're all on board.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Any other questions? Kathy?
Chad's being very modest with you all right now, as usual, so I'll take this moment to shine a light on his efforts. He's right in that the involvement has been extensive through all the departments, and again, that shows the cohesiveness of our leadership team here at the City of Branson, that we all work together and we're pulling in the same direction to achieve the objectives that you all have set for us. But Chad did a brilliant thing, which was to make sure that there was integration from the very beginning, like he talked about. And what I was most impressed by was the way he structured the meetings when we were vetting the different contractors to choose from. The way he set those up and the immersion that everyone was in to be able to vet which would be the best product to choose. Because it's an overwhelming thing to implement, to demonstrate, but then to make the case for, we should pick this contractor versus this contractor. But like he said, this is an entire enterprise-wide thing that we're about to embark upon. And I want to just take this moment again to remind our entire staff, it takes the buy-in of all of us to move this ship forward, because it's a big, big ship. And I've been through something similar to this before, and it didn't go so great. So luckily, I was able to kind of watch what happened in the past. But man, he's got his eye on the ball, and he's the leader of this. But he is very firmly supported by administration as well as the rest of the team that he serves with our leaders. So thank you, Chad. Job well done.
Thank you very
And
much.
we're just getting started, buddy.
Appreciate the kind words.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And Chad, I just want to thank you for being steadfast and patient. You mentioned patience a minute ago as far as the board being patient on the application and integration, but, you know, I know you've been thinking about this for many, many, many years, and thank you for sticking to that, and thank your team for supporting you in that, because this is definitely going to, you know, I'm watching this, and I get to see applications in business that work very, not as in detail as this, but similarly, and man, the ease and the clarity that it brings to all the departments, and then most importantly, to the residents of the community, because this is something that I can teach my mom to do, and then she doesn't have to ask me anything. She can just go find it herself. So thank you.
Yeah, I think the last thing I'd like to say is, it's funny how things turn out sometimes because, you know, Alderman LeBlanc, you're right. I've wanted to do this for a lot of years, and not just me. I mean, many of the people in this room have wanted to do this. It's funny how things work out, though, because I truly believe the time is right. It all worked out where now's the time as an organization that we have the camaraderie, the teamwork, and the ability that I can look at you and confidently say, I truly believe we can implement this and be very successful in that implementation, which is very difficult. But as an organization, I think we're in the right spot to move forward, and I'm proud of that, and look forward to great things to come.
Very nice. Chad, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
we have some special guests here tonight, and I just consulted with our city administrator, and it's only going to take a maximum of 10 minutes. So if it'd be all right with you, if we could move item 3 up to this moment here and get that one out of the way?
Let's move on to number 3 then.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. So Kirk?
Tyler, guys, thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Marshall, Mayor, Alderwoman, and Aldermen, and City Manager Kirk Elmquist with the TCD Executive Director. Very grateful. 2015 through 2019, I learned a lot about this family in Branson. And enhancement is one thing that I get to be involved in. And music ties our minds, our hearts, and our best memories in life. A song you listen to in high school, you can't remember those algebraic equations, but you can remember the words to a song. And it takes you back in movies and other things in our lives. Songs are tied to the most enhanced memories of our lives. And if we can keep enhancing our guest experiences via music and songs when they're visiting and vacationing in Branson, maybe it can mean a lifetime of visitation and creative memories for those families. Another tremendous contribution from an American veteran who served in the Air Force for 23 years is Dr. John Peterson. He moved his family to Branson, and his 3 oldest siblings, or his 3 oldest children, are all graduates of College of the Ozarks. They've been performing 14 years here in Branson at the Little Opry Theater. Karen Peterson is mama. She's part of the band also. Catherine, Matt, Ellen, and Emmett Peterson to share a little bit of their talents with us here in Branson. Let's welcome them and give them a round of applause.
Thank you guys so much. Yeah, well, we've known Marshall for a long time, so thanks for letting us come. And he attended our show a few months back, and we happened to debut an original song at that show that he was at that he heard, and he asked if we would want to come over here and sing it for you guys, so we would love to do that. And he also mentioned talking a little bit about the song. So we got to tour with Bass Pro Shops in 2021 quite a bit for their fishing tournament. So we were all over the United States and visiting a lot of different states and places. And during that time, we noticed that there were a lot of songs written about all of these other places, but we love to hear in the Ozarks, and we kind of wanted a song about home. And so inspired partly by John Denver and then just how much we love this area here in the Ozarks, we put a lot of our favorite parts about home into this next song. And another cool thing about the song is there is, in the chorus, the melody kind of is meant to mimic a whippoorwill because it sings about a whippoorwill, and so that's kind of another little fun fact for all of us here who know what that is. And as we've shared this song on YouTube with a lot of our fans, a lot of them actually live overseas, and so we've had a lot of fun comments like, what is a whippoorwill, what is a cricket, what is a crawdad. So like all of these things have been really fun for us to kind of get to explain. But yeah, thanks so much for letting us come perform it. And this one is called My Ozark Mountain Home. Well, the Colorado aspens are blowing in the wind, and the California redwoods grow so high they never bend. And when the sun sets over Kansas, it may never ever end. But as I watch the sun go down, my heart longs to hear once again how the whippoorwill is calling me to the place I long to go, where the hills roll through the valleys down into the buffalo. Slow and steady are the voices that I hear whenever I roam. Well, they remind me of where I come from, my Ozark Mountain home. From the dogwoods in the springtime to the whitetail in the fall, the neighbors on the front porch just in case I come to call. Well, Mom and Dad live down that dirt road, oh, I've missed them most of all. I think it's time to quit my wandering and go back where I belong, where the whippoorwill is calling me to the place I long to go, where the hills roll through the valleys down into the buffalo. Slow and steady are the voices that I hear whenever I roam. Well, they remind me of where I come from, my Ozark Mountain home. Oh, my mind, it wanders back to running barefooted in the yard, and Grandma yelling, it's dinner time, come on. Hands joined round the table, giving thanks with grateful hearts. Then we fall asleep, all crickets sing their song, humming right along. Oh, the whippoorwill is calling me to the place I long to go, where the hills roll through the valleys down into the buffalo. Slow and steady are the voices that I hear whenever I roam. Well, they remind me of where I come from. They remind me of where I come from. Down the hallway where my heart will always run, to my Ozark Mountain home.
Hey, guys, one second. Hey, Katie, 1 second, buddy. So I have just one thing to say really quickly. First of all, I would like to thank the Petersons for coming out to perform for us this evening. Not only am I a supporter of what they do, but I can genuinely say I'm a fan. I would also like to thank Kirk for introducing them and adding a little gravitas to this ceremony. A year or so ago, as Katie said, I went out to their show, and that's when I first heard this wonderful song. You know, that's not the first song I've ever heard about Branson, but the few I have heard over the years have been sort of tongue-in-cheek and based mostly in humor. As you heard, this song is not that. This song is based in hometown pride and a love of the area that can only be felt by those who live here. Therefore, I will be asking a fellow alderman to join me in asking for an upcoming agenda item for a resolution naming this the first official song of Branson. Now, this will not be the only song, but instead just the first. In the tradition of state songs, which every state in our union has, I think this will be a great way to capture the spirit of our area in music. In fact, not only does every state have a song, but more than half of them, 26, have multiple. So that's the idea. We hope that this inspires more musicians to write songs and even find some existing songs that could represent our community all the same. So with that, I thank everyone who helped make this happen today, and I yield the floor. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Wow, thank you, Marshall. Thank you. Okay, a new revenue-generating idea. Popcorn, Cokes, little concession stand. Wow, how impressive. Marshall, thank you for doing that. The next agenda item is a demonstration, follow this one, right, with a demonstration of new capital projects, transparency dashboard with Chad.
That was a heck of a pre-show you had there for yourself, Chad.
Good luck with that, Chad.
Good luck following that. You do not want me singing or dancing.
On the contrary, my friend.
Yeah, what'd you say?
On the contrary.
Oh, we're going to skip that. So, fun fact, I went to St. Louis 2 weekends ago, and I'm in the, what's it called, the City Museum. And I run into Alderman Fenton, and he's going, what in the heck are you doing here? Anyway, we're both in St. Louis at the same time, at the same place. It was funny. So, next on the agenda, we have a demonstration for a capital projects transparency platform. And you might be going, well, wait a minute, we just seen that in the demonstration, and you did, absolutely. But as we talked about, that's 1, 2, 3 years down the road, and as Kathy and all the directors are talking about all the time, what are our wins now? What can we get done now? Sometimes you got to do a stopgap solution. It doesn't mean it's better or worse. It just means it's a solution you can use now as a bridge to get where you really want to go. And so that's what we're talking about today. And our GIS manager, Curtis Copeland, who many of you know very well. He's been at the city for more years than I can probably count, long time. He does amazing, amazing work, and he put this together, with our current resources, and he did a fantastic job. And so just to kind of frame this up a little bit, what you're going to see here is 2023 capital project information. We certainly will look to expand that beyond 2023, but again, prioritizing things, getting things up and going. We want to be as transparent with the public and our citizens and taxpayers as possible, and this is a great step in that direction, one of many that we're taking. So with that, Curtis, unless I missed something, you can take it away.
Curtis, when did you hire into the city?
August of 1998. Mayor and members of the board, thanks for having me here this afternoon to talk to you. I appreciate it. As Chad had mentioned, we're looking for an application that is easy to use and intuitive and really paints a picture of what's going on with our capital projects this year. First, want to say, give a big thank you to all of our department directors for providing the information, because without that, we wouldn't be able to visualize it here. Being a longtime map guy, I am a real firm believer that a picture is worth 1,000 words and a map is worth 1,000,000. But so what you have here is an interactive map that illustrates the location of these capital projects and some functionality along with it. And it's also a living application. What I mean is the information that you see on the right panel will change as these projects progress through time. when we find out things like the actual cost, actual start dates, actual end dates, what phase the project is in, so forth and so on. And there's also on the left side are some ways to filter through this data. So maybe I'm just interested in seeing what's going on with transportation. Well, I can click on here, and that narrows it down to 7 projects. And this is fully interactive, so on your right panel, you see there's 7 of these projects related to transportation. We can also, on the active projects panel where you see the 7 and the safety cone, we'll take a look at this Celtic Bridge replacement. We click on it, it'll zoom to that location, kind of give you an idea. And just like Google Maps or Google Earth or any online GIS application, you can navigate with the scroll wheel on your mouse or pan and zoom around and kind of see how it affects, these projects affect your individual neighborhoods throughout town. And so, once again, thanks to the departments for providing some descriptive information. We can learn about the different specifics about the projects. And again, as Chad said, that might be take up to 3 years for implementation. This application, we can also filter by year. So as we go into 2024, 2025, we can have a history of our capital projects as well. Other filters are by phase. Most of these are in earlier phases as well. I'll zoom to our home button here, the little house, takes us back to our entire project. But maybe I just want to go and take a look at and see what's currently in design. Fire Station 4, that's one that's currently in design right now. And we can see the estimated cost and the funding source. We also included that as well. So it's kind of a neat way to explore the capital projects going on with the city, interactive, and we try to keep this as intuitive and functional as possible for the end user, for both internally in our departments and for our citizens. And I'd be happy to answer any questions as well. I know that was a little quick.
Thank you very much, Curtis. Pretty self-explanatory, but again, just anything we can do to get information out to the public, I think is always a win. And you know, this on top of the ClearGov product that we're bringing for other fiscal, you know, information that we're going to be transparent with and get out is all good stuff. So if you guys have any questions, we're happy to answer them. And I just again want to thank Curtis for all his hard work. He's down one, like many departments. We're understaffed right now and working hard to fill those spots. And he's the one and only GIS person. And so on top of all his regular duties, I said, hey, I need you to build this for me. Can you do that in, you know, a couple weeks? And
that number, it was like, oh my gosh, that's a large number. But to see it in this form and to be able to click through and see, you know, where was that money spent? Where is it at in the process? Are we on track? And I appreciate the fact that it can be updated, you know, if we're behind time, if we're over budget, under budget. And so just really, really cool. I think, wow, kind of just summed it up for at least us two. Very, very neat and just nice to see, you know, that ability to go back and look at, you know, we spent all this money, or we committed to spending all this money. Where's it actually going? Well, here it is. So great job, guys. Very cool.
Thank you again, everybody. Working together for this type of a project is amazing. I am a research fanatic, so being able to have this information, being able to find out, you know, the meetings, the ordinances that are involved, if a zoning took place or what costs were associated, everything you need in one place. Thank you. I know it's a huge effort, and everyone, you guys are greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chad, a few questions. Is this in place today?
It's not live yet. We have some tweaking to do, mainly on the mobile side of things, to make sure it displays properly on mobile devices. And so we went back and forth on that a little bit right before this meeting started, and the goal is Friday. I'll say that. The goal is Friday we'll have this live. And of course, when we do, I haven't ran this by Kathy yet, but I assume we'll put out a press release and make sure everyone's very aware of this new tool, and yeah,
That's
that's
so
the goal.
flippin' exciting. Anybody else?
Chad, this is an amazing program here. What happens to it when we implement our 3-year program? Does this go away?
Yeah, I think there's a whole lot of decisions to be made through that process. For example, for those of you that are on the Finance Committee, we recently purchased a product called ClearGov that ties all of our financials to a dashboard similar to this. We thought this was a better way of grasping that information and communicating it to the public, so we chose to use this method. And I think we'll use that same approach as we go live with the other system. I suspect we might use the built-in platform, but we're gonna have to look at all the bells and whistles that we offer, and in 3 years, it could be completely different, what we purchase. That's the great thing about that agreement with Tyler is it's a cloud-based product. It's a hosted product, I should say. Sometimes the word cloud scares people. And you get those enhancements as time goes on at no additional cost. And so at this time, I can't tell you if it'll be this or it'll be that platform, but it'll be the best of whichever one's available at that time.
Thank you, Chad.
Anybody else? Kathy?
Just again, my appreciation for Chad and his team rising to the challenge, and we've got a lot of challenges that we're putting out there for our directors. But one of the things I made sure to tell Chad when they were working on these different applications is Cherry Webster going to be happy with this? That is, Cherry is our
She did
standard
say that,
bearer,
actually, Cherry.
and so she can click in there and see whatever it is she needs to see. And I think Cherry's going to be pleasantly surprised when she sees all this. So well done, guys.
Thank you. And again, Curtis did all this work. I didn't, so I just want to make sure the credit goes where it's deserved.
Curtis, I want to tell you, thank you very, very much for taking this on. This obviously is going to be so beneficial for so many people, right? In addition to Cherry.
Yes.
Wow, and it'll be live Friday. That's pretty cool. Chad, any Alderman have any other comments? Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for the opportunity to serve, and it's an honor.
Wow. I want to hear more reports. More songs, more reports. That brings us to the end of our meeting. I would entertain a motion to adjourn the study session.
Second.
Now, that was pretty quick. We have a first, second, and third. So please vote. You want just on an oral vote, Hillary?
Yes, please.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it. Thank you all very much. We will start our Board of Aldermen meeting in 32 minutes.